All right, friends, lots to go over as we are live in studio today. Sam Mirejovsky behind the What's Right microphone. Friends, welcome to the program. At What's Right Sam on X, formerly known as Twitter. Sam at What's Right Show is the email where you can reach me. I appreciate all of your emails that you've been sending me. Of course, I know there's a lot to react to today. I want to mention just as horrific scenes coming out of Berkeley, California. UC Berkeley campus had a TPUSA event. This is the organization founded by Charlie Kirk. They had an event on campus, and supporters of TSA were absolutely devastated, physically attacked, spat on, cussed out by the Berkeley students. And well, I tell you, the issue here is, and it comes always back to the same thing. There is a massive intolerance by the far left in the country right now. They're not interested in having a conversation. They're not interested in hearing an opposing point of view. They dismiss people by labeling them fascists, Nazis, racists, bigots, etc. And it's a through line that carries across the entire political conversation, or really even just life conversation that is happening in our country today. It ought to be easy and straightforward for us to have conversations with people with whom we disagree. It should be fine to disagree with someone occasionally, like we do, for example, here within our own movement. It should also be okay to disagree most of the time with somebody. It should even be okay to simply be polite to those that you disagree with all of the time. Now, I'm capable of this. You're capable of this. We are able to smile and laugh or nod and play along with people that are completely somewhere other than we are. But their side has convinced themselves that opposing viewpoints are so fundamentally evil that they don't deserve a conversation. They deserve bullets, fists, and other forms of violence which they've determined to be absolutely acceptable. Now, this is a condition, and I wish I could say it, just a condition of one side of the political movement, but I think it's something greater. I think there's just... there is just this brokenness in our country right now. All of the promises, let's take the left from it, all the promises that they were made, did it get them anywhere? For the last 40 years, my entire adult life, certainly, I have seen and heard Democrats promising young people a better life. Democrats promising the working classes better wages. Democrats promising, the left promising that just vote for us one more time and we will lift you up out of poverty. We will give you opportunity. We will give you the things that every person wants, and particularly young people. I can see why they're furious and upset. I can also see why the same leftists that lied to several successive generations of young Americans, many of those people now are older, are disappointed. I can see why they would then cover for themselves and agitate against Trump or Charlie Kirk or anybody else on our side to blame us for their own failures. Multiple times, Democrats were given the presidency, the Senate, the House of Representatives. They got nothing done. They didn't leave the country in any better place than they found it. And those broken promises have frustrated a generation of people. Now, I will tell you another thing here. I think the problem, too, exists on the right and Trump right now. Let's take it to Berkeley, right? It is, to me, a huge, immense problem that Trump has not immediately dispatched federal troops to quell this riot that broke out there, did not send FBI agents to protect conservatives on campus. Their civil rights were violated. Mob rule was allowed to take form and to cancel out free speech on a college campus, but not just free speech. People were attacked, were physically hurt, intimidated. Federal government has a role to play in protecting people's fundamental constitutional rights on college campuses, particularly those that receive public funding. Every time Trump doesn't do something like that we want him to do, he breaks the compact that he has with us, the voters. Republicans will lose support. And some of the same exasperation that they feel on their side, we will feel on ours. To some extent, this explains, I think, the Groypers, the 4chan people, the Nick Fuentes types, and the party's people that are just frustrated. They're frustrated of supporting Trump and then being disappointed. There's a lot of layers to this. The fundamental thing is you cannot continue to promise people one thing and then not deliver on it. So it pains me to say this, but I think both sides here, Republicans and Democrats, have risked alienating their base. And remember, Trump's political success comes from the broken wreckage of the Republican Party as we knew it. The country club Republicans, the Bush-era Republicans, the neocon Republicans are responsible for burying the party. Trump simply came along and gave us an alternative. But now he has to act on it. So what am I saying? Look, you look at what's going on in Berkeley. You cannot let things like this happen. We are craving exactly what the left is told us that the criticisms of Trump, that he's king-like, that he's an authoritarian. Ironically, I think people want this. People want order. People want safety. People want the special interests to be pushed out of government, to have an uncorruptible leader come in and clean things up. If Trump can't do it, I don't know who can. If the left thinks it's going to be Gavin Newsom, I think they're going to be sorely disappointed. But at any rate, this is what needs to happen. And it starts with this kind of violence on college campuses. This is one of the reasons Biden and Kamala lost the election. Scenes of violence at college campuses, Jews being excluded from campus, literally being prevented from walking across open areas of certain universities, going into classrooms, of getting beaten up, encampments, right? The violence that we saw at Columbia and elsewhere. That was a major pall over the second half of the Biden administration, and no doubt scenes of nature led to Trump's victory. So why is Trump allowing it to happen now? And I know some FBI agents got dispatched, but this just is a wrong look. And the same is with this H-1B1 visa stuff. I mean, these visas need to be sorted out. We'll get to all of that too, because Trump gave this interview over the weekend, Laura Ingraham on Fox News, and they got into it with the visas. And I'll tell you, I got some strong feelings on that as well. So I know today we got a lot to cover, and then the stupid release, the sideshow of sideshows, this Epstein stuff. My God. Okay, stay tuned. The What's Right show will be back in a moment. This hour of the program brought to you by Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
I'm the best.
Personal injury law has been the same for a long time.
The best.
Big egos, greed, and sleazy schemes. We've had enough. Welcome to Sam and Ash, the new standard for personal injury law. where things are done the right way, because you deserve a team that delivers real support and results. When you have both, your whole world can change. Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
Hi, welcome back. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. Good to be here as always. It's a beautiful day. Now, a word about our sponsor, Sam and Ash. This is something that I think is very true as I talk to clients. I understand that, like me, you work. You might even work and go to school. I did that once when I was doing law school as an adult. Maybe you coach your kid's soccer team. You've got, family. You've got obligations. You've got things that you're doing. You're busy. And all of a sudden, through no fault of your own, an accident happens. Boom, there it is. Now you've got all this stuff to deal with. And what you don't realize is that you've just signed up unwillingly for a 3+ month long commitment of nonstop phone calls, texts, and emails from adjusters at the insurance company who do not respect the busyness of your life, your personal boundaries, or your time. And this is what we do. Fundamentally, the difference between doing it on your own and having Sam and Ash Injury Law do it for you is you don't have to spend months on the phone. And then, on top of it, when the dust clears, the worst part people don't realize is you could end up owing money at the end. You could end up upside down between your property damage, whatever out of pocket for injuries, etc. So don't do that. Day 1, day 2, day 3 at the latest, call Sam and Ash Injury Law. Really easy to do. 1-800-304-2000. Nevada, California, we can help you. And it's really just that easy. I say it's a 15-minute call. Sometimes it's a few minutes longer. It depends. But it's an easy, quick phone call. We get your permission to work on your case, and then we're off to the races. And we handle all those calls. A great team of people here who take that burden off of you. Again, 800-304-2000, because you deserve what's right. Now, what's not right? The stuff at Berkeley and other college campuses that have been this violence against right-wingers. By the way, this is not uncommon. It's happened before, in other words, right? Remember at Berkeley, there's a whole history of this. Remember Milo Yiannopoulos back in 2017, his speech got canceled because masked agitators started fires, caused property damage. And what did they do? The school, instead of dealing with the violence, instead of dealing with the thugs that were there to protest, actually destroy property, they said they gave in. They told Milo to cancel his speech. And Coulter in 2017 had a similar problem happen. A number of Jewish events in 2024 were disrupted. And each time that this happens, the thugs get their way. So now we have this TPUSA event over the weekend, and all hell breaks loose, all intended to shut it down. Now, these are people going to college, and Berkeley's a great school. This is the type of school that is supposed to be open-minded. You're supposed to be able to hear different political opinions and takes and deal with it like a big boy. But these people are incapable of doing it, and everybody from top to bottom, including the media, is covering for them. Now, you can see, here's some of this is kind of distressing. I mean, this is how it was, when it was all happening. Here are the protesters chanting, basically a TPUSA members, Nazis go home, F you fascists. Here's how it sounded. And they're surrounding the guy that then later gets assaulted. and he just holds up a freedom shirt in red. Well, in the next scene, a guy attacks him and tries to rip his chain that he has with a cross around his neck. The whole thing is just is absolutely brutal.
Hey, white boy, break it up! You're bleeding. Stop. Hey, white boy, you're bleeding. Relax. Break it up. Break it up. What happened? What happened? Relax.
Okay, so they got the guy on the ground. The guy's bloodied. Now the cops are holding the victim back. This is wild stuff. You know, I don't just always turn these things around and see if they sit differently. Can you imagine a white assailant beating the living daylights out of a person of color while chanting a racial slur at them? Do you think the police would be restraining the victim in that scenario? This is a hate crime. This is an actual, honest to goodness, caught on camera hate crime. And why? Because the racial animus behind the attack can be proven with the words that are being yelled in the moment, right? And it's on camera. It's captured on tape. And what do we do with all this? Not much. And the trusty left-wing news media comes along and dusts off that beautiful phrase that we remember from the summer of George, mostly peaceful protests.
While things have been mostly peaceful, there have been some tense moments. Earlier this evening, there was a scuffle that broke out where two men started fighting. UC Berkeley police had to break up that interaction. Later, someone was throwing smoke bombs and a car backfired, leading some of the people who were protesting to run away.
Okay, that scuffle is the white guy getting attacked by another guy while getting yelled at, white boy, and literally the guy ripping his chain off of his neck. Wasn't an unprovoked attack. Guy was trying to get his chain back, and they only showed the part that comes after the initial assault. If somebody grabs a piece of your jewelry, you're going to try to get it back? I'm asking rhetorically. I mean, to me, it's just very common sense. So this is what we're dealing with. And it's sick. But here's what you need to understand. And I have gotten so much of this in the last couple of months. It's unbelievable. They interviewed CBS, a local CBS station there in the Bay Area, interviewed a woman named Lily. Typical left-wing looking gal. She's got all the piercings, the usual tip-offs. And listen carefully to what she say about Turning Point USA. Because she admits that she's never watched any of Charlie Kirk, any of his videos. She didn't really follow it, but she just knows what it's all about.
Turning Point USA should not be here, and they are like a fascist organization, and nobody here agrees with what they are saying. And obviously Charlie Kirk has been a big issue with like a lot of college campuses and people on college campuses. So we just think obviously I didn't really follow him a lot, but knowing what he did and knowing the things that he was saying, it's just like vile and disgusting. So we don't want to support his organization, and I don't think that the Berkeley chancellor should have let them come here.
Oh, we shouldn't even hear from the group that espouses freedom to come onto this campus. Because we have arbitrarily, even though we haven't listened to anything they have to say, we have arbitrarily determined that they are fascists. This is troublesome. And I've had multiple conversations with people who will flat out tell me, people who I believe otherwise are reasonable in life, tell me that Charlie Kirk is a racist and a fascist and all this stuff. I said, okay, well, show me where did he say that? Show me it. Send me the link. I can be convinced. I'm capable of changing my mind. And the problem with it always is you cannot reason somebody out of an opinion that they didn't reason themselves into. These are all emotional reactions. And remember, these people are all being wound up and triggered by the very politicians and stakeholders in the media who have sold them all a bill of goods for a little bit of political power. There's a lot of resentment there. So they're trying to steer that anger away from them. All right, folks, be right back. Don't go anywhere. More of the What's Right show after this. You know, the funny thing about all this is that my son has told me he would love to go to Berkeley. I don't know if I said this to you, Robbie, but my son Daniel is 18. He's a senior in high school. He's a water polo player, and he's gotten some interest from UC Berkeley, of all places. And of course, in light of the events there this weekend, I'm not sure that it's that's where I want him going. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Greetings and welcome to the What's Right show, powered by Sam and Ash Injury Law. By the way, if my kid was at Berkeley this year and got caught up in this horrific, violent mob attack that sprung from mere free speech activity, people on campus expressing their opinion. I'm not going to judge what the opinion is. Violence is not the answer. It just isn't. Mob rule is not the answer. But I'm getting off course here. I'm just thinking, as an attorney, what would happen if my son got caught up in this and were injured? Or if, one of your kids were injured and you called me. I'm just a little lawyer analysis here. What would I do? And of course, I think Berkeley has a huge amount of liability. Let me tell you one of the reasons for this. Do you know who the Berkeley police chief is? Have you heard this? I think this is the most wild, underreported part of the entire story. This lady, okay, there's, of course, yes, it's a female woman of color, police chief, Yogananda Pittman. But I don't even care. Listen to her resume, okay? She joined the U.S. Capitol Police, meaning she was a Capitol Hill police officer since 2001. By the time January 6th rolled around, okay, January 6th, 2021, a decade later, she was, at the time, the assistant chief for protective and intelligence operation. And she'd been in the position since 2019, so a couple years before J6. What does that job entail? Okay, that position, you oversee threat assessment, intelligence gathering on potential security risks of Congress, coordinating protective operations for members of Congress, planning for and responding to demonstrations or civil unrest. Now, I don't care what your opinion is. You could be a die-in-the-wool anti-Trump Democrat, and your opinion of J6 is that it was an insurrection, it's all Trump's fault. Okay. Did Police Chief Yogananda Pittman, the assistant chief for intel for the Capitol Police, screw the pooch on January 6th? I mean, objectively, yes, and then some. It was so bad. Her performance that day was so bad that their own union, the USCP Labor Committee, gave her a 92% no confidence vote. But guess what happened instead? She was promoted 3 days later and became the acting chief, the head of the Capitol Police. And then in 22, she was promoted or hired over at UC Berkeley to be their police department head. She started that job in 2023. So where am I going with all this? I can't. If I got a call for someone injured in this cluster mess this weekend, do you know what I would do? The first thing I would do is I would slap a lawsuit on this so fast, and I would haul this woman, Ms. Pittman, in for a deposition. And with depositions, right, this happens when you only when you file a lawsuit, then you open a period called discovery. This is where you can get different information, under oath from the other side, written and oral. And the oral testimony is given by way of these depositions. So I would have her sit for a deposition, and I would have her tell me this entire fascinating history of hers. And the point is, what the hell is Berkeley University, right? UC Berkeley doing hiring someone who was in the top command leadership of the Capitol Police when the Capitol was stormed? I don't care by whom. I don't care if it was Antifa. I don't care if it was all Trump Republicans. It doesn't even matter. I'll even accept the official version of what happened. They knew 1 million people were going to show up. They were unprepared, blah, blah, blah. Okay? But yet she got a raise. Now, my side note here, my political side note on this is her raise afterwards and promotion afterwards suggests that this whole thing, January 6th, is an inside job, because it's one of the many indicators that this thing, that she deliberately did what she was told to do and then was thanked for it. There's no other explanation here. But as far as Berkeley is concerned, hiring somebody who is this manifestly inept and or corrupt to run their police department that is known to have demonstrations and civil unrest opens them up to immense liability. That is a negligence suit the size, of elephant proportion. See, this is just the analysis that we lawyers do when we look at these things. But isn't that wild? Just what a story. Well, well, yes. They put an announcement out when, this was their announcement, by the way. You're thinking, well, Sam, maybe they didn't know all that history. Oh, they knew. They knew. Berkeley actually were bragging about it when they hired her. There's a press release, and it said in part, quote, 2 days after the insurrection, she became the first Black woman to lead the Capitol Police. The chancellor there, Carol Christ, wrote, quote, Chief Pittman's remarkable record of achievement and her steadfast commitment to reform and social justice make her perfectly suited for this essential leadership role on the Berkeley campus. I think what they really mean is that she's competent at putting politics ahead of public safety. And these people all know each other. The people that run Berkeley know Nancy Pelosi, right? Bay Area liberal Democrats. Wink, wink, nod, nod. We're going to take care of our own. This lady helped us pull off January 6th and make Trump look bad. So we're going to reward her with this new job, which, by the way, came timed just as Trump's criminal case, the one brought by Jack Smith, was heating up. Remember, 22, 23 is when it was all starting to simmer. So they were definitely keeping this lady in a good position and rewarded for her role that she played. Absolutely sick stuff. Now, I'll tell you, every once in a while, there's this little glimmer, this little spark of opposition to the insanity. And it warms my heart. It does, because, folks, I can't emphasize this enough. On the cultural stuff, we could not be more right. And they can try and berate us and call us names and horrible things and try to cancel us, but fundamentally, the left is simply on the wrong side when it comes, for example, to the trans subject, right? And particularly men in women's spaces. Fascinating outburst the other day that I I think, it hasn't really hit the mainstream, but I wanted to bring it up. This is a lady who, her name is Tish Hyman, and she was recorded really going off and she was screaming, and she got kicked out of a Gold's Gym. And she was a member there at the gym. She was working. She was actually in the locker room. And there was a trans woman, so a biological male that was in there, and she was absolutely irate over it. And apparently this individual was known to be dangerous. And so anyway, I'm painting the story because she then went, this Tish Hyman lady, after this situation happened in Gold's Gym, she began speaking out about it. And Tuesday, she went to Scott Wiener's town hall. Scott Wiener is running for Nancy Pelosi's seat, and he's a state senator currently. And he's one of the most extreme liberal Democrats in California. Just to give you a little bit of perspective on who he is. I mean, that's saying something. He is liberal even by California standards. And this lady in the town hall gets the mic and she confronts him as a supporter, right? As a Democrat, as a liberal, as somebody, and you can hear it in the language that she uses, as somebody well-versed in identity politics. Listen.
Millions of women across America are being harassed and sexually assaulted in locker rooms. I'm a lesbian black woman. I'm not transphobic. I'm not homophobic. And I do respect a lot of the things you've done. But I do see a lot of these bills that you've passed that are dangerous for women and young children. And I understand that you're trying to be on a level playing field. And I'm here to represent my community because I hear a lot of things about my community in these bills. And I'm telling you as a woman, first and foremost, that this is dangerous, and we need your help, because you're in the office, you're going to go in the Polisky spot. I want to support you. I have millions of people behind me watching this right now, and we want to know, are you going to protect women? Not trans women, women. Trans women are different things. Women. Listen, we need to protect women's safety. I was assaulted. I was assaulted. No, they are not.
Oh, wait, this is great. So a man in the room, and this is, a town hall meeting with Scott Wiener, just shared with you who he is. So these are all a bunch of libs in this room, and somebody from the, a heckler, about, whoa, no, trans women are women, repeating what I think is one of the stupidest liberal catechisms that they keep repeating. Trans women are women. And this woman's like, no, I was assaulted. No, they are not. They've got, she doesn't go on to say it, but they've got equipment and strength that can harm me as a woman. And when I'm taking my clothes off at the gym, I don't want that near me. Here's how it continues. You can hear the angst in her voice.
No, they are not. They are men. I was assaulted by men. He broke his wife's jaw so bad she needed reconstructive surgery. I'm a lesbian. I'm not transphobic, and I'm black. So if there's another black woman in here who wants to tell me how they feel, please join in. But all of you are not. And I don't know who you are, what you are, but I'm a lesbian, and I'm telling you right now, men are harassing women in the locker room.
This is, I'm heartbroken for her. Because, I don't know if we have confirmation about what she's saying is true about the history of this particular individual that was in there. But if I was her or any other woman at the gym, I wouldn't want to be changing in front of a dude. And I'm not allowed to say that because in polite society, it has been determined that if somebody claims that they are another gender, you just have to go along with it, or else you're a transphobe. And this poor lady's like, I'm black, I'm a lesbian. Don't yell at me. I'm basically, she's saying, I'm as woke as you can get, but this is not okay. But the Democrats won't leave it. Anyway, there's more to it. It got even better. I'm going to take a quick break and get to it after the break. Absolutely fantastic. And the reason I'm playing this, the reason why this is important is you're going to see some schism occurring on their side on some of these issues. Some of this insanity is going too far. Some of this, like what you're seeing at Berkeley, where people don't want to hear anything. They don't want to hear it. They've determined that you're a Nazi. They've determined that you're a fascist. Where they're going to apply that kind of purity to their own people. They're going to determine that this black lesbian Democrat activist is a fascist because she will not accept that trans women, are real women, because she doesn't want a man in women's only spaces. Watch them start to eat their own. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Back in a moment. Well, we'll talk about the shutdown next hour. Looks like it could get all resolved tonight. So we'll get the latest to you on that in the next hour of the What's Right show. Meanwhile, here just before the break, was playing this incredible clip from yesterday's town hall meeting with California State Senator there. It's the most liberal guy in the California State Senate. Now, his name is Scott Wiener. Yes, he pronounces it Wiener. I don't know what to tell you. It's just how he does it. Anyway, the woman speaker here that you can hear in the video is a self-described black lesbian who went to a gym, a gold gym, and was kicked out for complaining that a trans woman was in the locker room. Now, producer Robbie sent me the latest, and I pulled it up here. I added it to my stack, Robbie. Thank you for nudging this my way. This is the piece about the story from the New York Post. Apparently, there's a person claimed here. Okay, this is the story about what happened. So this lady, Tish Hyman, who was complaining about this, said that this person who went in, this trans woman that went in, exposed his genitals and did so, I guess, on purpose, although it's a changing room, so I don't know how exactly it's happened. But the history of this individual, who now goes by Alexis Black, is a little troublesome, and there actually is a sentencing from 22 where this guy, when he was just a man, I guess, savagely beat his then wife. He broke her jaw. She had to be rushed to the hospital. His name was Kyle Grant Freeman. He also had other charges of domestic violence, drug trafficking, and resisting arrest. And when he transitioned, this is crazy. I guess he used his ex-wife's name, Alexis. So he stole her name. Just wild stuff. So the convictions, the danger of this person is there. And any rate, she confronts Senator Wiener about this. And people in the room are like, no, you can't say that. Trans women are women, et cetera, et cetera. So here's how it continues.
I appreciate your point of view.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry that you were
Multiple times.
And I appreciate you talking about it. I think we need to protect the safety of all women. And that obviously that's incredibly important. And I also know that trans women are also brutalized in this country. So women and cisgender women are brutalized in this country.
Okay, I'm going to play. This is very difficult to hear because this is a Wiener and he's talking into a microphone, but nobody can hear him because his name is Wiener. I don't know why it is. This is terrible to hear. Okay, so here, I appreciate you talking about it. Just speaking to the woman complaining. I think we need to protect the safety of all women. And obviously that's incredibly important. I also know that trans women are also brutalized in this country. So women and cisgendered women are brutalized in this country, and we have to protect the safety of all of them. Do you notice, by the way, how the left, it has to clarify? They'll say women. They'll say women and cisgender women. It's like women could be all women. And then we specifically are going to use a word cisgender, which is just fancy way of saying normal. So, yeah, normal women. Okay. And here is the response from this lady who was angry about this.
Point of view.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry that you were
Multiple times.
and I appreciate you talking about it.
Oh, excuse me. Here we go.
And we have to protect the safety of all women.
We have to protect women. We cannot be raped in the bathrooms by men that want to say they're women. They're not women. They're not women. I'm leaving. It's okay, but I'm not going to take it. I am leaving because you know what? You guys are not protecting women. You're doing a lot. The bills that you're passing for the law, I read a lot of them. They're great. But this things with the trans, it's not right.
It's interesting, right? This is clearly a lifelong Democrat. I mean, I've looked at some of her social media. She is definitely a leftist, but not happy about this. Not happy at all. And it's interesting to see her own people talk down to her. All right, shutdown news. Who benefited up next? Rarely wrong, always right. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Folks, good to be here with you as always. Happy Wednesday. So let's see here. The shutdown is, I think people are already expecting that it's over. Wall Street is pricing the shutdown as completed, as over. So it's all a matter of formalities as I understand it. Republicans set for a vote, or the House set for a vote tonight. The proverbial fly in the ointment, a little bit of a wrinkle on this that is causing some debate, is the provision that we discussed the day before Veterans Day on Monday. I mentioned that the Senate had snuck in a provision into the bill that allowed senators, members of the House as well, to sue the federal government for up to $500,000 if the Department of Justice, the FBI, etc., spied on their phone records without notice. And this apparently this is getting a metric ton of pushback in the House of Representatives. So the proposal here is, as I understand it, that Mike Johnson goes, okay, we're not going to hold the bill up. We're not going to debate. We are just going to pass it as is. Because remember, if the House doesn't make any changes, then the Senate bill gets ratified in the House. It's done, goes to the president's desk for signature, and the CR becomes law and funding gets immediately open. So I think that's what they're going to do, is just pass it, and then pass a standalone bill that undoes that provision, assuming they can get that passed. So all hands on deck right now, and presumably members of Congress are rushing to D.C. to vote on this important bill. Now, Democrats are still furious over some of their own. The 8 Democratic senators who caved, really upset about this. And so much so that they're drawing the 8 that caved have gotten ire from the Democrats, including those that were a yes on the CR from the beginning. The 3 yeses: Angus King, Fetterman from Pennsylvania. Angus King is from Maine, an independent, but caucuses with the Democrats. And then, of course, right here from Nevada, Catherine Cortez Masto. She was a consistent yes all along, even though there was some noise that perhaps she would not be voting for subsequent versions. But she held on. So the original 3 plus 5 others that came on board, including the other senator from Nevada, Jackie Rosen. So these people are not very popular in Democratic circles, in the media. By the way, Sonny Hostin went scorched earth on Fetterman. They had Fetterman right there. I don't think he was in studio, was he? I think he was on screen. I couldn't tell, but she just let him have it from both barrels. Listen to this. This is what Sonny Hostin is saying, literally to Fetterman's face, who's there on The View to defend himself.
It was a horrific mistake. Governor Gavin Newsom called it pathetic and a surrender. Poll after poll found more Americans on both sides of the aisle blaming Republicans. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed the GOP. As you mentioned, Democrats had big wins last week, so you had momentum. Why give in now? Why bring a butter knife to a gunfight? Are you willing to gamble that the GOP will negotiate on health care in good faith once the government reopens? Because if that gamble is wrong, 500,000 Pennsylvanians that you represent, their health care costs will skyrocket if you are wrong. And I believe you are wrong.
I believe you're wrong. Let me just thrash you because I'm a host of The View. I host The View and I know better. Now, here's the thing about Fetterman. This guy, I was not a fan of his. I mean, we disagree about a lot, but I love that the guy gives zero rat's rear ends about anything. And when he's wrong, and I'll call him out for it. But this is an absolutely correct take here. And the clip ends awkwardly because it's where Fetterman left it. I mean, it's literally the end of the clip. There was nothing more beyond the statement that he made.
I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations. And a lot of those things were part of the extreme. And now remember, what really needs to win, the big win, is involving my state and other states and those things. And why have we arrived here after the election a year ago? We got to forget some of the things that cost us that election. Or now, for me, it's like, that's why I'm trying to remind people that kinds of the extremism, we can't return to those kind of things and realize we need to find a way forward. And I would like to, rather than cite MTG, I'm going to cite one of the new governor-elects saying that my election is not a green light to continue this shutdown, because I promise you this isn't a political game. It is viewed by many of us, but the reality is 42 million Americans now not sure where their next meal is going to come from, and because we vote like that.
This is exactly right. What's the translation here? What's he saying? He goes, look, I represent a purple state. I represent Pennsylvania. And people are getting harmed by this. So I'm not going to do it. And I actually think, objectively speaking, it's very easy for wealthy Democrats to be lecturing other Democrats in Congress about how they need to hold the line and continue inflicting misery on millions of people. When these are people, Sonny Hostin didn't miss a paycheck. Gavin Newsom didn't miss a paycheck. It's very easy to be virtuous when your virtue costs you nothing. Nowhere in any of this debate was an honest to goodness call out to the people who were the hold the line people and telling them they had nothing to lose. But even the congressmen get paid. Even the senators who are voting no get paid. I don't know what you think. I absolutely think it should get bipartisan consensus by we the people that the Senate and the House do not get paid when there is a government shutdown. I'm with Senator Kennedy on this, 100,000%. And by the way, yesterday, Veterans Day, I'm going to repeat this. I also believe that every member of Congress should treat at the VA. I think you want to be in Congress, your health care plan that gets subsidized by the American taxpayer says you got to treat it, you and your family are going to treat it at the VA. Watch how quickly the VA would get fixed. So Fetterman's absolutely right here. And it's actually these slick people like Newsom that all they have are words. Nothing of this is practical or real. Now, there's an interesting conversation about Newsom and about Fetterman. Who are the winners and losers of this shutdown? Now, I told you Monday, as news of the shutdown became clear on ending, it became clear on what was that Sunday night. The 8 votes materialized to vote with Republicans to get this thing done, and obviously, social media began popping off, and the pundits started coming out, politicians started coming out. I told you it was going to be Chuck Schumer was going to be the big loser. And that certainly has, that's borne true. So there are other losers too. And then there's some clear winners. Like, who do you think are the winners? You give them some thought. Well, you can always email me, sam@whatsrightshow.com. sam@whatsrightshow.com is my email. Quick break here, and we'll be back after the break. I have names. I have names, winners and losers. If you have somebody, email me quickly, and I'll read it on air. Sam Mirejovsky here on the What's Right Media Network. The What's Right Show brought to you by the only law firm to trust, Sam and Ash Injury Law, because you deserve what's right.
The Sam and Ash team, they wanted me to have the best care. They had my interests at heart. I have an enormous amount of gratitude. I cannot say enough thank you.
Winners and losers of the government shutdown. Certainly one of the losers we can admit is none other than Chuck Schumer. Yes, certainly. Who are the winners, by the way? Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. Greetings, friends. Welcome to the program. So, winners, I mean, certainly we could say that Gavin Newsom came out on top here. No skin in the game, not an actual decision maker, not somebody who withheld funding from SNAP benefits, not someone who withheld paychecks from the TSA agents, air traffic controllers, and other government employees, but somebody who rhetorically was able to beat on Trump day in and day out. I mean, certainly the true. Well, I mean, Fetterman, absolutely. He comes out, again, Fetterman needs to worry about getting reelected in Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania voters are going to like this guy. He bucked the party. He's not a, he ran as a moderate. I'm convinced Fetterman was a major lib, and that the stroke changed him. One of the things Fetterman said recently, it's interesting, he was talking to Barry Weiss. He says, a near-death experience has a way of clarifying some things in your mind. And he compared himself to Trump after Butner, Pennsylvania. He did. He said, look, I almost died. I had a terrible stroke. It was horrific. Remember, he got the stroke. He ran. It was terrible. And then he got into office. He had to take that time off. He was hospitalized. Things got bad, apparently. It came back from it. Now he just does not give a rat's rear end what anybody thinks. Now, some people, and I got a couple emails. Thank you, by the way, folks, for emailing me quickly. I see some MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene votes. Marjorie Taylor Greene, remember, Sonny Hostin mentioned her by name. Even Republicans think it's Republicans' fault. Marjorie Taylor Greene, she just shot herself in the foot. Any benefit is very short term. She cuts herself off from Trump's political capital for what? A one-time boost from people who hate her? That's it? Now, on the loser side, besides Chuck Schumer, we also have Hakeem Jeffries, who just came out looking like a complete dummy. Then Rand Paul with his hemp bill. My point is, regardless of what the position is on hemp and on protecting farmers and whatnot, this had no business being anywhere near the bill. And I get that. I get that he objected to it. He said, "I understand. They snuck this in. There's a provision redefining or restricting certain hemp-derived intoxicating products like gummies, vapes, beverages, that kind of thing." And then he threw a fit over that. So I don't think he came out looking particularly great, no matter the merits. I think the American people came out obviously, is the big losers here. Our economy is a loser. 41 days, 42 days now, 43 is it today? It's a very long time. And it's affected travel. It's cost the airlines millions of dollars. This money that is missing and will be forever missing out of the economy. Don't push a button and go, okay, like it never happened. I mean, people who work these jobs will get their back pay, but it's been enormously disruptive. So I'm just letting you know. I mean, that's it. I think, I hate to admit it, I think that the Republicans maybe lost slightly compared to the Democrats, but right now, the most important thing is, what can Republicans do for affordability? What can Republicans do for health care? This is not a partisan issue. This is not a anti-Trump issue. This is just a fact of life. I'm telling you right now, if Republicans don't come through on this, they're done politically. And Trumpism, the Make America Great Again movement, is a blip. And it'll pass. Because there is an enormous amount of a large part of our country, a huge amount of Americans who simply cannot afford to live. If you're going to be reasonable and have a home, have health insurance, have car insurance, have a car, okay? And even live fairly frugally, that's not affordable. And to pretend otherwise is silly. Well, and it's ignorant. It's absolutely ignorant. And my problem is the place where my heart aches is I understand and I know that Gavin Newsom talking about affordability, and certainly Zohran Mamdani talking about affordability, these people will do nothing for affordability. But the voters, the under 40 voters that gave Trump a try in this last election, and also in 2016, who gave him a chance to fix things as a disruptor, if he does not fix things, if Trump does not repair them, they will switch to the next person. They're not Republicans. They want to save the country, and they want a future that they can believe in. And they will go with whomever has that offering. I prefer to be far more optimistic, but I mean, there's some kind of wake up call that needs to happen here in Team Trump. And I tell you, this interview over the weekend with that Trump gave to Fox is just a disaster. This is an absolute disaster. I know that this is a decade-long project to turn America around. But we need to see steps. So I got to get to all of this. I got to get to all of this, of course, in due course here. And we still have a good thing. We still have 30 minutes to get to all of it. But just, I mean, it's incredibly important. Here is what I'll play it. Here's the clip. Here's what I'm all pissed off about. Here, this is Laura Ingraham, Trump over the weekend.
If you want to raise wages for American workers, you can't flood the country with tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of foreign workers.
You also do have to bring in talent. When
we have plenty of talented people here.
No, you don't.
We don't have talented people here?
No, you don't have certain talents, and people have to learn. You can't take people off an unemployment line and say, I'm going to put you into a factory where we're going to make missiles, or I'm going to put
How did we ever do it before?
Well,
I'll
give you an example. In Georgia, they raided because they wanted illegal immigrants out. They had people from South Korea that made batteries all their lives. Making batteries are very complicated. It's not an easy thing. It's very dangerous. A lot of explosions, a lot of problems. They had like 500 or 600 people, early stages, to make batteries and to teach people how to do it. Well, they wanted them to get out of the country. You're going to need that, Laura. I mean, I know you and I disagree on this. You can't just say a country's coming in, going to invest $10 billion to build a plant, and going to take people off an unemployment line who haven't worked in 5 years, and they're going to start making missiles. It doesn't work that way.
He's not wrong. But you don't say we're going to, it makes it almost sound like it's going to be business as usual. When I know in other interviews, Trump's been very clear that we need a few people, a few skilled people here to teach future generations of American workers how to do things. You make the argument, hey, we're going to bring in a handful of these people to teach our unemployed workers this skill set. That's what we're going to do. I mean, that makes sense, right? He didn't say that. I'm baffled. All right, yeah, and I'll get to my thoughts, of course, on the Epstein Files release. Oh my God. Back after this. Don't go anywhere. More of the What's Right show up next. Making radio great again. Sam Mirejovsky here behind the What's Right microphone. A quick word about Sam and Ash injury law. One of the most baffling things, I think, to people when they get into an accident, have an injury happen, is all of a sudden they're inundated with phone calls. You know, you're minding your own business. Let's say you're driving somewhere, you get rear-ended, no fault of your own, and all of a sudden, the next 3 months of your life are filled with texts, calls, emails, all the time from the insurance company wanting this, that, and the other. And at the end of the day, insult to injury, you end up owing money out of pocket for the whole debacle. That's what you want to prevent. You don't have time to handle all this. You've got a life, you've got a wife, you've got kids, you've got soccer practice, you've got life to enjoy. You can't take time off from work to deal with these bozos. That's what Sam and Ash injury law does. We're more than just lawyers. We're a concierge. And we help you get through it. Because we have people here who handle the phone calls and handle the emails and handle all the correspondence. And all it takes is a quick phone call today. Call us. Very easy. The beautiful thing is you get help right away, can send you a contract right to your phone, and get us, Sam and Ash started on your case immediately. 1-800-304-2000. Offices in Nevada and California. 1-800-304-2000. Sam and Ash injury law, because you deserve what's right. So, yeah, I'm worried. I'll tell you, you know who the Rasmussen pollster guy is? I talk about him all the time. Rasmussen, I think the most accurate pollster, time and time again, when it comes to, it comes to political polling. Mark Mitchell, yesterday on InfoWars, he said this, and this is just absolutely spot on when you think about the Trump coalition and what it achieved in 2024 and the incredible victory, surprise victory for the Democrats by Republicans. But we Republicans cannot be complacent in this. Listen to what he says about conservatism and how it polls among people under 40.
What I found is that I have my finger on the pulse of where the politics of America is going right now, and it is not going towards conservatism. Right. Conservatism has basically become the luxury value set that DC Republicans love to convince themselves will win hearts and minds finally this time. And everybody knows after we see zero action out of the Republican Party that it's basically just a grift job, just a donor harvesting operation, basically. Well, what do the youth want? What happens is when Trump wins an election, he convinces a higher proportion of the under 40 vote to turn out for him than we've ever seen before. All of the Republicans say, oh, look at us, we're so great. We just, we won the youth vote because Republicans are great. And it's like, no, these people are not conservative and they hate you. Right. They only voted for Trump to give him a chance of fixing America, and you're screwing it up. And so I look at these people, even the ones that say they support Trump are overwhelmingly supporting socialist policies. And, that's wild. That's new. These people want major industries nationalized. They want excess wealth distribution. They just want America fixed, and they don't care how it's done.
And if they give power to the Democrats, who then seize power via stacking the Supreme Court and radically remake the country, there's no coming back from that. It will take a literal revolution to save the country. Do you see why I'm a little bit worried? So now Trump needs to act. Now, the good thing about Trump is he can pivot and he pays attention to all this stuff. But Trump's support is, according to pollster Mark Mitchell, waning due to a lack of action, which he explains further in the same interview.
There's this aspect of Trump support that really gets overlooked, which has been like young, angry online men that have been the butt of American society. And these people are not reading William F. Buckley. They want a strong man. They want things fixed. And unfortunately, they've been around for 10 years. They haven't really seen a lot of stuff get fixed. And now all of a sudden, it's like, well, Trump came in. He was wrecking the government. Everybody loved it. And then that stopped. And what happened? Well, probably the uniparty killed Doge. Donald Trump was getting a 60% approval rating of under 40 voters. That's just like insane. That's literally nutso. And now where is it? It's 35%. And who do those people like now? They like Mamdani. So you have this core voter, though, and like the keyboard warriors and the 4chan folks and all these people have always been there, and they've always been a pariah. And I come out and explain to the society that they don't want Republicans. They just want you to fix things. And these people are important. And what do I get? I got 300 DMs of people from like mostly Gen Z, but some millennials who are like, listen, I gave Republicans a chance. I'm so demoralized.
Exactly. Republicans wanted Doge. They wanted Doge. Now, you and I understand that Doge ran into the buzzsaw of reality because Democrats fought it tooth and nail. But what happened is our side, the Trump side, let ourselves get cowed, get threatened, and get bullied. And we didn't hire Trump to get bullied. We didn't hire Trump to listen to the opposition. No kings, let's wear it like a badge of honor. Yeah, right. Trump is a king. Yeah, sure. Okay. He's in there fixing and repairing the country. That makes him a king, so be it. Sign me up. But we let them disingenuously, for their own political purposes, because they need to weaken Trump, our side let them win, are letting them win. Now we still have 3 years left. We can do a lot, but the trajectory right now isn't good. And I was talking about the H-1B visas, generally, that category of visas of so-called skilled labor. And, you know, one of the things that is immensely important about it to understand is that it's a complete and total fraud. It's being used to import, actually, frankly, marginally qualified and very mediocre people into the country who are replacing Americans doing American jobs for less. And by the way, while we're talking about SNAP benefits, in many cases, these people end up going on benefits because they don't have enough money to feed themselves and their families. But you end up with these H-1B visa holders that are stacked up, 8 deep in an apartment in Palo Alto, well, wherever in Silicon Valley, and they're doing $150,000 jobs for $55,000 a year. And of course the companies are going to do that all day long. And even me, I'm as free market of a guy as it gets. I'm as anti-communist as it gets. Even I am starting to think, you know what, Apple, it is obscene of you to, and here's my iPhone, right? Okay, here's my iPhone. How much did this cost? Well, I don't have the latest and greatest one. When I bought this, I think this thing was like $1,300. Screw you, Apple. Hiring, H-1B visa holders when you could be hiring Americans for double the money. And you're stashing literally billions of dollars in cash. Like, that's rapacious. That's not okay. It used to be that businesses did what was right. I'm a business owner. I pay people really good money to do the work that they do. Why? Because when you call this office and you talk to Oscar, you talk to Ian, you talk to Nicole, you talk to Natalie, you talk to anybody on my team, they're happy to be here. They get paid a livable wage. They can pay their bills. We give them health insurance. Does it come out of my pocket? Yes, by definition, because every dollar in expense is less money of profit. But do I do it? Of course I do it, because I'm a responsible business owner. And by the way, when somebody comes in to this firm as a client, they can feel the difference. So yeah, screw you, Apple, with your virtue signaling, your DEI, all your BS platitudes about being a steward of virtue, and you can shove it. And it's not just Apple, okay? It's not just Apple. So there it is. And Lucky Palmer, you know who Lucky Palmer is? Palmer Lucky, excuse me. He's I'm always Palmer Lucky. I always invert that. Palmer Lucky is the guy who invented the Oculus goggles. A fascinating story. This guy is basically he's a kid, right? Drop out of school, and he makes these Oculus goggles, and he's building them while he's living in a condemned motel. And he then sold Oculus to Meta, Facebook, for $2 billion. Had an opportunity to meet him a few weeks ago over at Chapman University in Orange, California. An incredibly interesting guy. He lives in Newport. So see him around. By the way, he comes to our Chapman. He always wears flip-flops. Even when he wears a suit jacket, he wears flip. But he came to this meeting. We're all dressed. I'm dressed in a jacket and jeans. Some people are in suits, and he is. I loved it. He's in flip flops and jeans. Okay, but here's what he said, and he knows this because he's an insider in the tech world. Now, by the way, he builds tech for the military, and he's revolutionizing that. Anduril is the name of the company. So here's what Palmer said about this. And listen.
Of course, there's so much H-1B abuse. You would not believe what I saw when I was in Silicon Valley. It is insane. It's obviously a program to try and replace U.S. workers with basically slave labor that can't ever escape. The H-1B abuse is crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Yeah, the company hires you, okay? Now they don't take your passport. It's not like these, Chinese families in Southern California that, that have the little illegal immigrant from China come along with them, and they take their travel documents and hold them hostage, and the police have to come and raid the house. And it's not one of those deals. But it's almost the next best thing. The company says, okay, we're going to be your sponsors. You're going to get this visa to be in the U.S. And if you and I, pointing, of course, to the company and to the end, if we have a falling out, if we don't like you, if we fire you, you lose your visa. Bye-bye. I mean, I don't want to sound like Sam Gompers over here, but that's hugely coercive. How is any of this okay? You know what I want to normalize is Republicans speaking out about this stuff. And if we want to fix affordability, we cannot allow foreign workers, legal or illegal, to undercut in price, in wages, American workers. They can't do it. And all you need to know to understand how any of this works is a basic economics, supply and demand. If you've got 10 workers on the market and there's 5 job openings, prices, wages, right, go down. If there's 6 openings, 7 openings, and 5 workers. Wages go up. And there's an equilibrium there. And I am absolutely for immigration, but only with an eye toward the equilibrium, right? Understanding what the job, if we have super low unemployment and companies are going, we can't hire people. Well, yes, then H-1B visas have they have a place, right? Importing labor has a place, but we have to have a government that responds to the actual need. And not just one that listens to big business and goes, yeah, we just need to flood the country full of these people so that we can pay our workers less. This to me is so fundamentally common sense. Need to take a break here. Up against the clock. Sam Mirejovsky behind the What's Right microphone. Friends, back after this. Well, let's talk about these Epstein emails, shall we? Sam Mirejovsky behind the What's Right microphone. Greetings, friends. Want to put on my lawyer hat here because, of course, I have had to, on cases, many a time, or look through many, some cases, thousands of emails, and this is pre-AI, where I had to read it all myself. This is why I now have to wear reading glasses at night. Destroyed my eyes. And I can tell you, this is not even the beginnings of the full story. These selectively leaked emails are a whole lot of nothing. But I'll explain to you where I'm coming at from this. There's some fascinating parts of it as well. So this is the House Oversight Committee of Democrats that wanted to get this thing out. I kind of a first top level. When Trump left office in 2021, right? Loses the election in 2020, 2021, leaves office, becomes a complete pariah. The Democrats throw everything at him now. It's not an exhaustive list, but of course ultimately we have 2 federal cases against him by Jack Smith. We've got 2 cases in New York brought against him, one by the state attorney general, the other one by the Manhattan DA. We, of course, have Fannie Willis's case down in Fulton County, Georgia, and a myriad of other lawsuits and spaghetti thrown at the wall to get Trump, and most of it was completely fabricated. Like, not even a little bit, completely. And I beg of you to understand this, if the Democrats, at a time when they controlled the Senate, the House, the presidency, if there was anything in the Epstein files that conclusively implicated Trump in child rape, they would have used it. If you don't believe that, I don't know what I can tell you. There. So that's kind of my fundamental starting point on this. Now let's look at the emails. You know what I don't see here? I don't see Trump engaging in it. These are all emails between third parties about Trump. Let me give you an example here. You know who Michael Wolff is? He's a liberal writer who's written the book about Epstein and Trump, and he's the one who's pushing the whole story. There are emails going back 10 years where Michael Wolff, instead of being a journalist, he's actually advising Epstein via email on how he should answer Trump questions. Epstein emails Michael Wolff, I hear CNN planning to ask Trump tonight about his... No, excuse me. This is what Wolff asked. I hear CNN planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in scrum afterwards. So Michael Wolff is tipping off Epstein. And Epstein writes back, if we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? And Wolf responds, I think you should let him hang himself. He says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, and that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that politically generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him generating a debt. Of course, it's possible when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy, he's gotten a raw deal, is a victim of political correctness. What the hell is this? I still haven't seen Trump's name on any of the logs. Michael Wolff is a known fabulist. So is Epstein. Like, nobody here goes, oh boy, that Epstein guy has some great credibility. So then there's this other smoking gun. There's an email that references, according to Epstein, Trump having spent time at his house with a victim. Now, the response from the Trump camp is that victim actually is Jeffrey, Virginia Jeffrey, one who recently committed suicide, who has been on the record saying that Trump never acted inappropriately with her. So I don't know what this is all about. But again, if this was a smoking gun like they claim, they would have pulled it all out when Trump was on the mat, when they wanted to eliminate him completely as a political force in the country and put him in jail. So to me, this is all just a bunch of crap, and it's distracting to the main purpose of saving the country and going after crazy leftists. My goodness. More on this tomorrow if we need to. Sam Mirejovsky, over and out.